You better be ready. You better be ready. We're making content, that's why. All right? Welcome in. If you're watching the YouTube clip, like the video, subscribe, and comment below. It really helps me out. What I want to talk to you today about is this guy. His name is Malcolm Nance, and I was watching CBS News because I just really love corporate media. It's how I learn things, you know? No, this clip just popped up, and it just popped up, and I can't remember where I saw it, but it was sort of stunning to me because it talks about this former TV defense analyst joining the fight against Russia in Ukraine, and already my alarm bells are going off. And if yours aren't, I'm going to suggest you go watch something else.
The president is also asking Congress for more funding to aid Ukraine. This comes as Russian President Vladimir Putin has vowed to retaliate against any country that supports Ukraine's resistance to his invasion. President Biden rebuffed that threat, saying the U.S. will not stop helping Ukraine until Russian troops leave the country.
And it literally showed a helmet on the ground in Mariupol. My question is, was that a Nazi helmet? What are the chances that was a Nazi's helmet? There's actually a chance, because we know that currently, or we're to believe, you know, fog of war, etc. We're to believe that the Azov battalion is currently holed up in Mariupol and Azovstal in the steel factory, right? We know that there are Nazis. Is this a Nazi's helmet that CBS is like showing you to gin up sympathy? Are they ginning up sympathy for Nazis? I don't know. You don't know. Maybe they know. But it's sort of a wow moment, right?
Will not stop helping Ukraine until Russian troops leave the country.
And joining us...
So who the fuck is this guy? Is that the thing? It says Slava Ukraini? Is that how you say that? Who the fuck is this guy? This is sus as fuck. This guy is making all my alarm bells go off, y'all.
From a secure location in western Ukraine is a Ukrainian International Legionnaire.
You may be thinking to yourself, what's the Ukrainian International Legionnaire? Well, it's pretty much Ukraine going, hey, people from other countries, do you want to come over here and fight for us? You know, what could go wrong? Historically, when people have done this, what has anything ever gone wrong? Have there ever been unintended consequences? I don't know. You tell me. So that's the International Legionnaire. They've announced they have more than 20,000 volunteers from 52 countries. 20,000? How many of those do you think are American troops that are like unofficially, officially there, or officially, unofficially there? You know what I mean? How many American boots on the ground do you think we've got? We know we've got at least one. Yeah, and they're definitely not hiding behind civilians at Azovstal. Yeah, or worse yet, holding them hostage. Who knows? We don't know. But of course, CBS News and Western media just, they don't care. They're like happy to gin up support for Nazis. I can't stand this.
Malcolm Nance, he is also a 20-year Navy veteran. Malcolm, first, thank you for
20-year veteran, even more alarm bells are going off.
Service, and love everything that you're about. Can you
You kidding me right now? She goes, I love everything that you're about. Now, I'm going to show you by the end of this video how obscene that is. So stick around.
Tell us a little bit about the International Legion and how they're contributing in this war.
Well, as you know, on February 27th, President Zelensky made a call for anyone who wanted to come and join the Ukrainian armed forces and defend democracy against the Russian aggression to make their way to Ukraine, join the Ukrainian army, and the vehicle for that was to join the International Legion for the Territorial Defense of Ukraine. That is the official name of the organization. It is not a militia. It is actually an element of the Ukrainian army. It is made up of foreign troops from 52 nations, and believe me, I've met quite a few from countries I would have been quite surprised to hear from. But they all have one thing.
Can you imagine Malcolm Nance showing up to the International Legionnaire and he sees a guy, he's like, hey, I waterboarded you. Yeah, that's right. Back in the 90s. Do you remember? I'm sorry about that. Good to see you, by the way. Hope you're good.
In common. There's no money in it. I mean, they make $630 a month, so they're not mercenaries.
You look great, by the way. I don't know. Have you lost weight? You look great.
This is about the old saying that if you're going to fight an enemy, don't fight because of the person that you hate that's in front of you. Fight for the things that you love that are behind you. And that's what they're doing. They are on the side of the Ukrainian people to fight against this Russian aggression, which is blatant. And even worse, it is mass murdering civilians in this country. That is why every man and woman in the Legion is here.
Malcolm, can you explain to our viewers your
mass murdering civilians? All right. Always remember that when you're like listening to U.S. imperialists, they're like almost certainly projecting. So I look at this and I say, well, we're sending arms into a war zone so that, you know, the United States can continue its hold on as much of it on Western capital and maintaining its global hegemony, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. By doing that, they're happy to send arms into a war zone, telling the Ukrainians to fight, fight, fight. And it's killing them. Now, to be fair, when you give a civilian, you know, super advanced technology and arms, at that point they're sort of militarized, right? So what is this claim of them mass murdering civilians coming from? It's coming from the exact kind of person that you would expect it coming from. Just an imperialist warmonger. And I don't know exactly this guy's angle, but I think he's super sus. And perhaps by the end of this, I might convince you that the dude's a CIA op. I'm serious. He may be a CIA op.
Your ties to the region, and you know, you touched a little bit on this right now, why other people are joining the fight, but you personally, why did you decide to do this?
Well, I spent about a month before the invasion here doing an analysis of the Russian order of battle. That's the forces that they were aligning around Ukraine. I drove the invasion routes. We did an analysis of the potential invasion routes. And it became really clear to me very early on, Russia was not playing this time. They were going to invade this country. I went down to the Donetsk battlefront, down at the Joint Task Force area. And while I was there, I met people that I had
Joint Task Force area?
known from the Defense Language Institute, the school that I had went to, and, you know, two female trans.
The Defense Joint Institute. The Defense what institute? Isn't that where they teach people how to waterboard?
Translators. And within the week
somewhere else
after, you know, on D-Day, the day of the invasion, we were getting messages from them down at the battlefront saying they were being hit with hundreds of rounds of artillery and that they were likely not going to survive the next 24 hours.
Look at that footage.
That struck me hard. But what struck me the most was their resilience in the face of it. They were saying, you know, we took this job. We knew that being down here, we were at risk. We're willing to die for our country. And at that point, I said, okay, that's it. I've had enough. You know, I've done a lot of things in my life. I spent a lot of time in the armed forces, in the intelligence community.
I've done a lot of things in my life. There's a lot in that dude.
And then became a defense analyst, you know, in major media and a writer. But that is not what this calling is about. This is about helping your friends. This is about helping a people who are under siege, where their entire existence as a Ukrainian people, Ukrainian language, Ukrainian culture has been said by Vladimir Putin himself that he is going to eliminate it. And we've already seen signs of that in the occupied areas. They've taken out over 5 million Ukrainian citizens and moved them into Russia. They're leveling the city of Mariupol like they did in Grozny, Chechnya, because they intend to repopulate it with ethnic Russians. This is ethnic cleansing.
What?
We as a nation of the West in this country, which has had 9 democratic elections, there's no Nazis in sight, and a Jewish president, and they just want to be part of the...
Let's say that again.
Ethnic Russians. This is ethnic cleansing. We as a nation of the West in this country, which has had 9 democratic elections, there's no Nazis in sight, and a Jewish president.
There's no Nazis in sight. Holy shit, dude.
And they just want to be part of the West, the world that we are all familiar with. And Russia invaded to stop that. So that's what...
So if there are no Nazis in sight, does that mean Putin was right? They denazified Ukraine? Are they all gone, or are they hiding? Because we definitely saw a bunch of Nazis. There's not a Nazi in sight. Dude, like NATO can't even post an International Women's Day tweet without featuring a Nazi. The fuck out of here. There's not a Nazi in sight. They keep putting them on the TV, on CBS News. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm just saying you can't get that one past me. I'm sorry. Okay, so we got to talk more about this guy because he's absolutely insane. He's absolutely insane. Malcolm Nance. Let's talk about him. American author, media pundit on topics related to terrorism, intelligence, insurgency, and foreign affairs. He's a former U.S. Navy senior petty chief officer specializing in naval cryptology. Dude, this guy is sus as fuck. Okay? He went to this Defense Language Institute. It's allegedly a language school, but guess what? I think they teach you maybe some more things than just language. Here we go. He was involved in numerous counterterrorism, intelligence, and combat operations. Uh-oh. He garnered experience within the fields of intelligence and counterterrorism. I bet this is where he did his thing. Here he is. He was an instructor in wartime and peacetime survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. These are training Navy and Marine Corps pilots and air crew how to survive as prisoners of war. One of the ways in which they did that was by waterboarding. They waterboarded their Navy and Marine Corps trainees, right? Now, the question is, how do you become an instructor of waterboarding? Well, you probably do it by waterboarding people in the field. I'm guessing Malcolm Nance waterboarded people, on behalf of the United States. I'm guessing, and that's, I think, a very reasonable conclusion to reach. Yeah. The only Nazis I've seen lately are getting paid to do sympathetic interviews on the news. Exactly, Mildred Seashells. I guess it takes a lot of practice. He perfected it. He took part in combat operations occurred after the 83 Beirut barracks bombings. We were doing a shallow dive on this just before I hit the record button for this clip here. But 240 American service people were killed. Over 220 were Marines. And of course, American State Department, DOD, they're going to be pissed, right? They're going to come back. They're going to send their worst. Nance. He took part in combat operations after that. Okay. He served on the U.S. Wainwright during Operation Praying Mantis, was aboard during the sinking of the Iranian missile boat Joshan, and on the USS Tripoli during the Gulf War, assisted during a Banja Luke, a Bosnian airstrike. Wow. Conducted by NATO. All right. This skips to 2022, and he revealed he's part of the International Legion of Territorial Defense, and apparently he's got time to do interviews and stuff. That's a little weird, right? Why do they have so much time? Almost as if media is part of it, right? It's part of the war. Almost as if United States, here in the Imperial Core, you're getting propagandized by places like CBS. They put these people on their channel uncritically. They literally say, I love what you're about. Wrap your head around that. They literally say, I love what you're about to a guy who probably did some waterboarding, if not a ton of it, to, not just in training our soldiers, but to quote-unquote enemies. Okay. So he started doing intelligence consulting. I think he's got a think tank as well. He witnessed the crash of American Airlines Flight 77 into the Pentagon. I guess he was driving into Arlington. Maybe he knew not to be there at that time. That's a little sus as fuck, right? That is very tinfoil hat of me, but what are you going to do? He acted as first responder at the helipad crash site where he helped organize the rescue and recovery of victims. Wow. Then he served as an intelligence and security contractor in Iraq, Afghanistan, and the UAE and North Africa. This guy is sus as fuck, man. He's in the middle of us all doing really terrible shit all over the world. Then he's a visiting lecturer, and then people start inviting him in. He has a think tank, the Terror Asymmetrics Project on Strategy, Tactics, and Racial Ideologies, which analyzes counterterrorism. Then, check this out. He's a member of the advisory board of directors for the International Spy Museum. The International Spy Museum. And they have a profile on him. Check this out. They're pretty much touting this guy as much as they can. Just check this out. Carpe Pax, welcome in. Yeah, racial ideologies. What does that mean? I'm not sure. Y'all follow Carpe Pax? Yeah. The part of the Pentagon that was hit was the accounting department. It was undergoing an audit. Nothing sus about that. Wow. That's fucked up. Oh, radical. Radical ideologies. Radical ideologies. Thank you, Chad. Excuse me. Radical ideologies. I'm tripping. Check this out, though. He's talking about ISIS, the Islamic Caliphate, and what American and British coalition soldiers endured on the ground as they fought to dismantle these forces. Wow. What? Yep. And we're going to talk about how him working for SARE and overseeing hundreds of training of waterboarding. After that, he would finally come out against waterboarding. I don't buy that for a single second. He's a fierce champion of ethics, human rights, and cultural integration. He waterboarded people. Come on, we're almost certain that this guy is CIA scumbag. Exactly. We're almost certain this is the case. We have every reason to believe so. Who are these people? Right? They exist. This one's just fucking bold enough to put themselves on the TV, right? They gotta have someone. Check this out. A black man versus Russia. Oh my God. Oh my God. A black man versus Russia? You've got to be absolutely kidding me. What's up, Xander Corvus? Everyone follows Xander Corvus, too. Love your face. Hope you're good, buddy. Check this out. They put him on CBS. They said on CBS, I love what you're about. And they're talking to a CIA spook, dude. Okay. Thinker, sailor, black man, spy. Can you just take a second and just sip that up? That's just amazing, right? Woke CIA, dude. I come from a very old U.S. military family. That's even more sus. And for African Americans, that's sort of an achievement. Woke CIA, dude. This is this woke lib shit that like libs are like, oh, that's great. Oh, the U.S. military's diverse. We love it. And they fall for it because libs are idiots. Hostage survivor school. Makes me wonder how many hostages he's dealt with. Right? Makes me wonder how many times he was holding people hostage and waterboarding people. Why aren't the people on CBS asking these questions? The plot to hack America. He's pretty much like president or CEO of Russiagate, y'all. And we'll talk about this maybe a little bit more. And of course, libs went for that too. Libs went for the Russiagate. At one point, he drew heat for tweeting, responding to the Kabul attacks. The day before the obscene images coming out of the Kabul airport where we finally pulled out, even though I'm sure we probably still have some boots on the ground there, some CIA guys. There was a bombing, like outside the gate. A handful of Marines were killed and a bunch of civilians were injured and killed as well, I think. He tweeted, #deal with it. It's sort of mind-boggling. Tweeted, 20 years. FYI, there have been terrorist suicide bombers killing civilians nearly daily in Afghanistan. This ain't new. It's why we're leaving. #deal with it. What? It honestly makes no sense. He caught a lot of flack. He finally replied, oh, actually, I tweeted that before I knew they were killed. He goes, I apologize. He goes, as a proud combat veteran whose family served the U.S. military for 150 years. Wow, that's what he meant by longtime military family, huh? I spent almost all my adulthood in defense of our country and its freedoms and guarded it with my own life. Whoa, man. Yes, I posted before there were serious casualties. I should have waited. Check this out. My first intel job was in Beirut, 83. We lost 322 Marines and sailors. I don't think that number's correct. In just 2 suicide attacks? Is he including the French? That's weird. I was at the Pentagon 9/11 and survived suicide bombers in Iraq. My work is to keep you informed with accurate assessments. That is not true. I'll keep doing that with more empathy. Good job, Malcolm. Yeah. #be best, Malcolm. Pretty weird stuff, though. Getting back to the whole Russiagate thing. Malcolm Nance on the dangers of conspiracy theories from the New Yorker here. And of course, he would know. He's like a conspiracy theorist. He literally pushed the Russiagate conspiracy theory. Like what? Russia hacked our election? How did that happen? How did that... You know what sounds pretty fucking weird? When Trump goes, our election was hacked. But 4 years ago, when libs were doing it, they didn't seem to take any issue with it, right? Come on, libs, be better. #be best. All right, circling back to his waterboarding. It's likely that he did the waterboarding and learned of its usefulness in his mind, for getting information. And that's why he was picked to instruct students how to be waterboarded, how to deal with being tortured. How do you... you got to ask yourself how you get that job. Maybe you're an expert on torture yourself. How does one become an expert on torture? By torturing. I hope that makes sense to everyone here. So he goes to Capitol Hill. He goes to Capitol Hill, and he tells Capitol Hill, you know what? I think it's bad now. I think after, probably torturing America's enemies, U.S. imperialist, the enemies of U.S. imperialism. After doing that, he goes and he oversees hundreds of waterboardings at the school. And then he finally goes and he gets to act like he's got any amount of dignity and respect. And they lap it up like dumb fucking idiots. He goes, waterboarding's torture, period. I believe we must reject the use of the waterboard for prisoners and captives and cleanse this stain from our national honor. I'm honestly wondering if he's like signaling prisoners and captives if he's leaving someone out intentionally. I don't know, right? I don't know. So he gets to like act like he's like a good guy coming out against waterboarding, but he used it his whole life. It might even be like one of his primary tools. But I don't know what else to say about that. Yeah. In hindsight, maybe torture wasn't a good policy. Yeah, maybe he should come out against torture, just in general. Of course, he said he underwent waterboarding as part of his training, personally led or was involved in the using the procedure on hundreds of other trainees. So after he underwent it, he probably didn't just underwent it. He probably gave it to people, you know, in the field. You know what I mean? And then he did it to hundreds of others, and then he's going to come out against it? Come on, that's bullshit, right? That's 100% bullshit. That's pure bullshit. You can't get that past me. I'm not as dumb as you want me to be. I'm sorry. Not sorry. Go cry. That's why you get no maintenance. Now, what do I mean about libs? I mean people like Bill Maher. Now, some libs are like, oh, I don't like Bill Maher. No, well, guess what? This is still something you need to be aware of. Russian election, says Bill Maher. Russian election influence is worst possible scandal in U.S. history. You've got to be absolutely kidding me. The Russian election influence? This is a conspiracy theory. And it's what the libs want to believe because they cannot convince themselves that Hillary Clinton lost. There are still libs that believe this. There's still libs that believe this. All right? So, in that sense, libs, you do agree with Bill Maher, even if you don't agree with him all the time. He brings him on. Bill Maher brings on Malcolm Nance to his show. I don't have video of this. I'd like to have video. So, we are here in the middle of making a clip of Malcolm Nance. We pulled up this Bill Maher clip. It was not exactly the one I was looking for, but he says this wild thing, and I want to make sure y'all catch it in this video.
A lot of people in the military, hold on, I had a lot of people in the military, senior officers who had to make life and death decisions who were total morons about the cultures and institutions and countries we were going into, and people died because
I have
of
a
that.
question.
I don't need that here.
If we agree.
He's just like literally admitting to like our military being awful. Is that what he just did? Why is he telling us that? Dudes posting their L's, am I right? Yeah, I think he just goes, hey, I worked with guys that did war crimes, and I don't want that here. What? Malcolm, what? Like, what talk? Like, who at the CIA gave him that talking point? That didn't make any sense. Okay, so unfortunately, I wasn't able to find the clip that of this moment of Malcolm Nance, but I do suggest checking out that Ben Shapiro clip. It's insane. So here they are talking, though. They're talking about Russian election influence being the worst scandal in U.S. history. This is just so out of this world. This is insane. This is the dumbest, one of the dumbest fucking things I've ever heard, you know? And he brings Malcolm Nance onto the show. He goes, let's talk about the Russians. I feel an obligation to put the facts ahead of entertainment. I always try to get both in, but I feel like our country's hanging by a thread right now. What? He's doing the Russiagate. Stop looking at the distractions in the clown show and look at what matters, which is, I would say, this is the worst political scandal in American history, and it's not going away. What the fuck, dude? Are you kidding me? No, man. The crime is treason. The crime is colluding with Russia to fix an American election. This is the definition of a lib is, you know, one of the definitions, I guess, is someone who cannot accept that Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton. You know, the rules of the election, playing by those rules, he won. And a couple Facebook ads aren't going to change that, dude. That didn't happen. Maher turns to retired Navy Senior Chief Petty Officer Malcolm Nance because he knows, quote, where the bodies are buried. My gosh, I'm sorry. Where the bodies are buried. Like, what the heck? This is what I'm saying, dude. This is some sus as fuck shit, man. Quote, this may be This may possibly be the greatest scandal in presidential history, he said. That's absurd. Like, our presidents are war criminals, like every single one of them for like the past however many decades, right? Everyone follow Skiddadeer? Welcome in, bud. For the first time in 240 years, we have a president who may have actually had influence and had been elected with direct assistance, not just of a foreign power, but of a foreign intelligence agency. This guy is president. He's CEO of Russiagate, dude. Quote, when the intelligence agencies are leaking like this, they are crying out, Maher later said. What the fuck, man? So again, when liberals like Bill Maher bring him on, probably a prolific waterboarder, participating in doing conspiracy theories, and also making friends with people like Barbara Lee. Went to a town meeting with John Dean and Barbara Lee, a Democrat, talking about what? Not to confront her about health care, but to pepper her with questions or otherwise put her on the spot. They came instead to listen to a former Nixon attorney and a former spy warn about Trump and how to best ensure his demise. So he's just like playing into like lib fantasy of like woke military guy fighting for their country. Like, no, our military's very, very bad. You should almost be certain he did exceptionally bad things in his life. And liberal media likes to feature it as well. NPR here. Expert sheds light on waterboarding. I wonder what made him become an expert. Did anyone on NPR ask that question before they put him on? Like cheering him on? Saying, oh, he's now opposed to waterboarding. Even though he's trained hundreds of American service members to be ready for it. AKA, he waterboarded hundreds of American soldiers. And he probably got the spot because he waterboarded enemies of U.S. imperialism. I think that's a reasonable assumption. Okay? The Philadelphia Tribune doing the same thing. Now I want to show you, knowing all that we know about him, how absurd it is to hear these words coming out of this lady's mouth. Check this out.
Location in western Ukraine is a Ukrainian International Legionnaire, Malcolm Nance. He is also a 20-year Navy veteran. Malcolm, first, thank you for your service and love everything that you're about. Can you...
Okay, and that's what CBS does. That's what CBS does. And that's why you cannot watch corporate media. It will scramble your fucking brain. Okay, and I think we've made it to the end of this YouTube clip. It's turned out to be 33 minutes. Not bad. All right, everyone, if you've made it to the end of the clip, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, comment below. It helps me in the algorithm. And please support on Patreon, patreon.com/iDanSimpson. Love your face. That's right, baby. We did it. Thank you, patrons. Blake, Jasmine, Boondocks Dragon, Ira, Vivian, Masai. Thank you, Sleeve. Thank you, Glenn Allen, Mario. Of course, Mike and Tim and Todd Gonzalez. Love your face, Todd.